Hey friend, I need to talk to you about something. I have been reading a lot lately. Like, I have become a total bookworm. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Sarah, this is not news. You are a huge nerd. You love books. And that's true. I do love books. I have always said that. That is part of my personality. That is part of my decor. But despite that, maybe I haven't actually been reading as much as I thought I was until this year. Let me explain. Last year, I read a total of 12 books. That's it. And 7 of those were rereads. So I only actually read 5 books that I'd never read before. Not that rereading books is a bad thing. Sometimes you need to revisit something. Sometimes you get busy and you just want a familiar story that you can unwind with. But I don't want to get stuck in a rut, and I definitely want to read more than 12 books in a year. Now, I'm not saying that if you read 12 books in a year that's bad. If that's your pace, that's great. I'm not talking about blame or criticizing anyone. I'm not even mad at myself. I'm just actually really sad. I mean, I'm someone that loves books, and I really just wasn't reading that much, which means I'm not doing the thing that I love doing. But something different happened this year. So far, we're about 11 weeks into the year as of recording this, and I have finished 23 books. So I've gone from an average of 1 book a month to about 2 books per week. And that's not a perfect metric. Not every book is the same length, but that is a pretty big shift from where I was. So what happened? What changed? Well, I think it started last year. I read some good books, enough to spark my interest in reading new ones. And then I started seeing my friends post about their favorite books from the year, and I started seeing these recommendations coming through my social media feeds. I couldn't help but get excited. I wanted to read them all, so I just started reading. I didn't set any big resolutions or challenges. I didn't put any pressure on it. I just started reading. A few weeks into the year, I realized something. I was genuinely loving reading again. As soon as I was finished with one book, I wanted to pick up the next. It wasn't hard. It didn't feel forced. I was reading before I went to sleep. I was listening to audiobooks while I did chores. Nothing major. But was this going to be the new me? Was this my new habit? Am I a reader again? Yes. I'm leaning into it. And you know what? I don't even miss whatever I used to fill my time with before. I decided that this is the new habit that I want to keep up. Like, maybe not at this exact pace all year, but I definitely want to make a real effort to prioritize reading more than I have. Then I had to tackle a classic bookworm problem of keeping track of all the books I wanted to read. So I started a Goodreads account to log all the books that I'd read and all the ones that I want to read. This isn't an ad for Goodreads, that's just what I used. Anyway, I was looking at my want to read list, and it was literally hundreds of books, and growing. You know, they just keep writing more. And that led me to 2 problems. The first, deciding what to read next, and this was actually stressing me out. I needed a plan. The second, getting access to all of these books without spending all of my money. I mean, I have a spoiled, precious doggo. I cannot spend all of my money on books. This problem is mostly solved by libraries. They are a lifesaver, but I still have to figure out, which books they have available and when I can get them. So it's time to make a plan. This brings me to my super nerdy master spreadsheet of books. First, I needed to narrow down my to-be-read list to a more manageable number. I went through and tagged the ones that I really wanted to read this year. That narrowed it down to about 145 books, which is still way too many. Optimistically, I might read 80 more books this year, but hey, at least I could start sorting at this point. I spent hours organizing this list. I marked which ones I owned and in which format. I marked which ones were available at the library, which ones were available at the digital library, and how long the wait was on each of those. Then I could sort through the priority and figure out which books I was going to actually read next. And guess what? The spreadsheet made me feel so much better. I finally had a plan, and now I could just enjoy reading. Some are popular books that everyone's been talking about, and some are books that I wanted to read for years. So far, my favorite books that I've read this year are Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I also really liked Hank Green's books. Why is that hard to say? Hank Green's books. The Three Body Problem, The Woods, and Throne of Glass. But everything that I've read so far has been good. Everything has been worth reading. And I'm really excited about my to-be-read list. I mean, I just think it's going to be a really good year for reading. Certainly, many things about this year are going to be tough to get through, but at least I can inject this goodness and joy into my life. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you. Are you reading anything, or have you gotten back into any hobbies that you love? Let me know. I'd love to chat about books or whatever else you've been into. Later, bestie!